Very warm welcome to all of you. This is the first time I do this in GrameenPhone, and you really don't know me very well. So I thought I should give you a brief background on who I am. My name you have probably picked up. Even if I'm struggling with your names, maybe it's easier for you to look at one foreigner. My name is Tore. I joined GrameenPhone from the 1st of March as the new CEO. I am a Norwegian, as you probably know. I'm 63 years old. I am married to a lady from Malaysia. We have 3 kids, which are not kids any longer really, because they are from 31 to 20 years and they're all living far away. One in Norway, one in Malaysia, one in Australia, studying. So we are here alone. Not alone, because we have 160, 170 million people around us and a big GrameenPhone family. I have been in telephone for many years. My background initially is from the technical side. I was educated at the Technical University in Norway, and Norway is a small country, so we have only one technical university. That many years ago, and I joined Telenor really in 1974. That's quite many years ago. Some of you were probably not born at all at that time. I started on the technical arena, but widened my scope after a while, working with radio matters, but then was responsible for terrestrial broadcasting in Norway in the middle of the 80s, before I joined the mobile business in 88. And I took part in really forming the GSM, the specifications and everything, in the what today is called GSMA, the big association of hundreds of operators. At that time was 30-40 operators who were mainly traveling between cities in Europe to decide on the new standard. And luckily I was able to take part in that. And that was, of course, employed in Telenor. And I worked in the Norwegian mobile operations then up to 98 with some activities abroad in the meantime also. Partly my first one was in Hungary, where Telenor had an operation, and in some other countries in Europe. I came to Asia in 98, first time to Thailand to look at the DTAC, really if Telenor should buy into DTAC, and I moved to Singapore the year after, 99. Then I was to make a long story a bit shorter, I was in Malaysia from 2000 to almost the end of 2004, the last 3.5 years as CEO of DG Telecom. Then they asked me to go to Pakistan to build up a new operation from scratch, from a license where we won a license. And we built up that, and 4 years I spent in Pakistan. From 2004 to 2008, we started with 2 empty hands, and when I left we had almost 19 million customers, so we were able to do a quite okay job there. Very good team. Then they asked me to come to Thailand to take over DTAC, so I spent from September 2008 and up to now 1st of March this year in Thailand. Too short time in Thailand, 2.5 years is too short. But when they asked me to take on the helmet of GrameenPhone, I thought that was so interesting, and I said yes to that when Sigve Brekke, the chairman of the board, asked me. You always feel you are too short in companies because there are always more to do. You can never say you have done everything. Everything is perfect. There are always room for improvement, as you all know. But I'm very happy I'm here. I have had 30-40 days here, trying to learn the company. Of course, I know a lot about the business, but Bangladesh I'm not very familiar with. I've heard a lot about the GrameenPhone, of course, from Oddvar and from previous CEOs also in my interaction we have had both in Telenor and especially in Asia. That has, of course, helped me a lot, but when I come here there are a lot of things which are new for me, and I'm still playing a catch-up game to get up in parallel with dealing with the day-to-day activities. So that's roughly my background. Privately, it's a lot of work, I have to admit that. I have a patient wife who is used to that, and doesn't complain. When I have some spare time, I like to travel. I've been quite many places around, and I always like when I come to a country to explore the country. I hope I can do that in Bangladesh also. And I have been doing a lot of sports in football and skiing, both downhill and cross country and cycling and so on. I still like to cycle, but when I see the traffic here in Bangladesh and Dhaka, I'm really not sure, even if I'm bringing my bicycle, or 2 bicycles really, which are coming in a container here. So we'll see if I dare, either in the middle of the night or early in the morning, to try my bicycles here also. So I think that gives background of who I am. And then I would like to invite our first guest of the day, Mahmoud. He is heading our division for government relations, regulatory and legal. So Mahmoud, please be welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Please take a seat. Thank you. I have invited Mahmoud here because we are in a phase with important things happening in Bangladesh, and I'm sure that all of you have heard about license renewal. Just a short background from my side on this. Bangladesh was very forward-looking when it gave out licenses in 1996. Normally, in every country, these licenses have a limited period before you have to really make either a new bid or a new payment to get a new period. The initial license was for 15 years, which means that it expires in November this year. And the government and the regulator and the government has been dealing with this matter for quite some time. I think that is the main background. We are in a renewal process, and I will ask Mahmoud, could you explain what is really this renewal?
You all know that we are going through some renewal process of our license. We got the license in 1997, and it's time for, actually 96, we started in 97. So from 96, 15 years will expire in November 10 this year. So not only us, it's 3 more operators, Banglalink, Robi and Citycell. They are also in the process of renewal. Their licenses will also be renewed during the same time. The regulator also has come up with a renewal guideline. This guideline has been submitted to the ministry, and ministry has asked for responses from the renewing operators and all other stakeholders. So we have submitted our responses to the ministry, and we are waiting for some meaningful consultation from the ministry.
This is, of course, very interesting, and I'm also used to regulatory question from many countries, because this is always a topic in any operation. Could you tell us really what are the main areas where we have concerns with the proposal put on the table for the operators?
Fine. There are quite a few areas where we have big concerns. One of the areas I would mention is the high renewal fee. As you might know, the renewal is not free in many countries these days. Initially, as Tore has mentioned, when the licenses were given, that not many countries charges very high amount for the spectrum or the licenses. But here, what we see from the regulator or from the government has come up a very high fee, which is not precedent. We don't have the precedence of this high fee in the other countries, as far as we know. The fee is as high as 300 crore taka per megahertz for 900 megahertz spectrum, and 150 crore taka per megahertz in 1800 megahertz band. So this high fee has no basis also in our local as well as international benchmark. We couldn't find. That's a big concern. Another concern is the upfront payment of the fee. This spectrum fee, what regulator is asking, they're asking a big amount of money to be paid upfront. We, GrameenPhone and other operators also are not also liable for the same fee. For us, they are coming up with a different terminology called utilization factor. For us it is 1.6, for Banglalink 1.1, for Robi 0.95, for CityCell 0.45. That means for the same amount of spectrum, these operators are paying different amounts of money. So that means that for the same product, we are liable to pay much more than the other operators. So this is a big concern which we have already raised to the government. There are few other issues which also we see of our concern in the licensing guideline. One of the things I will mention is there are quite a few issues or items which are telecom in nature but should not be only liable to the 4 renewing operators. For example, there are MNP, there are SMP, there are unified licensing and few other issues, IPOs. So IPO, 30% IPO in 2 years. So we feel that these items should be excluded from the renewal framework and to be addressed separately through consultation with the industry.
So Mahmoud, the 2 last parts, maybe there were some phrases here or abbreviation which not everyone is aware of, but just MNP is mobile number portability, and what Mahmoud is saying is of course that that is something which should be for the industry. In many countries they have implemented this, and if you want to change from one operator to another, you can keep your number, but that will of course not work well only with 4 operators, then all 6 operators, just to give one example. So these areas that they should be given under a general, what is a regulatory consultation process and valid for all, I think we easily can agree on. We'll see if the government is agreeing to that. But on the financial, to decide really on how much we should pay or the operator should pay, what are the methods that we would like the government or the regulator to use on this?
The amount which we were asked to pay is for GrameenPhone, it's $754 million upfront. For Robi and Banglalink, it's in the range of $400 million. And for CityCell, it's much less, 87 million, because of the utilization factor. We have raised our concern about the benchmarking and also utilization factor. But we feel that there should be some basis for this, determining what should be the fee. And as an option, we have also proposed to the government that government should go for the market-based determination of the license fee or the spectrum charges. What is the market base? It's in many countries, as you might know about the auction, the spectrum is put into auction. Because we have a license a renewal fee which has been put on the table, which has no basis, we have argued that let the spectrum put into the auction and let the market decide what should be the actual fee of the spectrum.
So how do you see this process now can come to a conclusion, Mahmoud?
This is very difficult to answer, because we, as I mentioned, that we have already submitted our responses, our proposal to the government on 9th February. But we are yet to get into the consultation with the government. Hopefully in next 1 or 2 weeks, we will see some consultation from the government. And so far, we are not sure about how this will end. But from our side, we are trying our best to explain to the government what should be the process, and also we also requested the government to follow the international best practices. We are hopeful that there will be some development in the next couple of weeks, as we can see that there will be some discussions with the government.
Hope that we can really get in concrete dialogue with the government on this. This is important for GrameenPhone, obviously, but for the whole industry, and I would say for Bangladesh in general. All operators are, of course, willing to pay for the frequencies, for the renewal of the license. But in principle, this money should be spent really on the network, on the services, so people can utilize really the services and not so much on the upfront payment, which gives a direct, of course, money to the government, which is fine, but the government really will get even more over time through all the taxes and what really the mobile industry have done to Bangladesh so far. With the coverage of more than 99%, the efficiency, the communication, the security, education, everything have improved from this, and of course this will continue to happen. So Mahmoud, could you give some kind of closing remarks to this really?
First of all, I would like to say that we will get our license renewed. We are here to do business not for 15 years, but many more years to come. So the question is, what would be the terms and condition? How friendly the renewal framework or the terms and conditions, the different terms and conditions the government has put up there will be. So we are trying our level best. We are hopeful to get those non-renewing different items which has been proposed there out of the renewal framework. That's I'm very much hopeful about that. About the money, there will be some reduction, we are hoping, because of the fact that we are also interacting with the stakeholders. But at the same time, we also have to keep it in mind that government has a target to raise money from one sector and use it for other sectors. So telecom is a sector where government sees that this is an area or the sector where they can get some money for their budget support. So with the reality in mind, and also what I'd say the discussions what is going on with the government, I can see that there will be some development or improvement in the coming weeks, and hopefully we will come to a conclusion when we will get our license renewed. But I'm not sure about how far the friendly terms and the framework will be in the end.
Yeah, I just also would like to underline what Mahmoud just said, that of course we will renew our license. There is no doubt that the company like GrameenPhone has to renew, and we will continue our business, so there is no risk for that. But of course we would like to have this on terms and conditions which are acceptable for the whole industry, and we will also have a fair and level playing field in the market, not only among the 4 renewing operators, but among all the 6 operators. And we hope, of course, that the government really will listen to very valid arguments that the industry have put on the table there. So thank you very much, Mahmoud. Very interesting to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you.